Hey there, my name is Brittany Elm. I live for helping designers reimagine their efficiency so they can develop a business and life they love while simultaneously digging into more sustainable design opportunities in our industry. I'm a wife and mom of two from Central Oregon who runs a virtual design assistance and consulting agency supporting interior designers across the country. Layered is a podcast for sustainable-minded designers to build their knowledge and skills so they can create beautiful, sustainable designs while up-leveling their business. Okay, hello everybody. I am here to introduce somebody that I have been working with for the past few months. I think we started in February. To work on our branding at MDAs. This is the first time that we have ever sought professional help. It's always been very DIY. I'm sure you all can tell. So the individual that I'll be introducing you guys to today has really allowed me to take a much deeper look at our business, just in ways that you're normally not really allowing yourself to when you're doing a DIY project and you're just kind of trying to rush through the project and not giving it the full attention that you normally would when you are paying for the service that somebody like this provides. So not to delay anymore, I want to introduce you all to Mallory of Caprice CO. Say a little hello.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you on here. And just a little background story. So Mallory and I met in a really random kind of way. It just kind of shows, it's whoever you know. My cousin is one of those super, super social people, and she actually gave me Mallory's information. And I reached out, and the rest is history. It's been a really great experience to work with her. So Mallory, if you want to tell us a little bit about your business and your background.
Yeah, totally. So as Brittany said, I'm Mallory, and I am the CEO and marketing consultant at Caprice Company. And we're a branding and marketing agency that really helps lifestyle companies build authentic brands so that they can be experienced by even more of the extraordinary people that you serve. So I started off in the nonprofit sector, 10 years ago, and then moved into marketing shortly after that. And kind of just after working in the industry for a long time and seeing a couple of gaps in the market, switched to start my own business and so to help lifestyle brands to really build, authentic brands so that they can make a greater impact for their clients and their customers. So it's a little bit about me and about the business and what we do.
That's awesome. And just like you said, so many times I think during this process, when I try to give a really surface level answer to something, or maybe I thought I knew the answer, and then you just prod me to dig a little deeper. And that's something, again, I think is just so helpful when you know the information you're looking for. And that's something I really hate usually when you're listening to podcasts and things like that. Like you get a lot of that surface level information. And there's just something about working one-on-one with somebody to get down to the meat of it and actually get the information that's going to be helpful versus, like, what's your why? Well, I do this to be with my kids more.
Yeah.
My kids are obviously in the background. But really taking it to that next level that will be helpful to people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, a lot of times when we're in our business and we're doing the work and we're doing the day in, day out of managing our businesses, it can be hard to see the blind spots or the areas that we are lacking, especially when it comes to marketing. If you're someone who isn't necessarily a marketing expert, you're an interior designer, you're a creative, you are an expert, and, that's your zone of genius. Sometimes we can struggle to see the gaps of where our marketing might be struggling or where our branding might be struggling. We know that we're doing amazing work for our clients, and we know that we're doing amazing things for the people that we're serving and the people that we're working for. But sometimes that doesn't show up, in your marketing to the people that are watching you because there's just a gap there. And so I think there's something, very powerful to be said just about working one-on-one with someone who can come in and just help you think, like you said, a little bit more critically or become more aware of the gaps in your business that you're lacking, or become more aware of the areas that you need more clarity so that your business can grow and that you can work with more of the right fit clients and really feel confident about the brand that you're putting out and the way that you're showing up for your audience.
And one thing I noticed in the notes that you had sent over from the questionnaire that we had sent was you used to work with a design firm or work for a design firm as a design assistant, which I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever shared that with you. We've done so much of the marketing work. I guess I hadn't shared much of my background, but I did. That was actually my very first kind of intro into lifestyle marketing. I did nonprofit for a little bit and did some marketing work there, but my very first intro into lifestyle marketing was with an interior design firm and home staging firm in New Jersey, back when I was like living and working in like the New York, New Jersey area. And it's interesting because I was hired on as a design assistant, and I have a, secret passion for like interior design and interior decorating. I love the industry, the creative side. I know there's, more challenging sides to the industry as well, but the creative side I always loved. And was working as a design assistant. And then from working as a design assistant, I think it was about 6 months in, I started to just notice that there was kind of some gaps in the work that they were doing for their clients. It was beautiful work. I mean, the team I was on was doing incredible things. It was two women entrepreneurs from South Africa, ironically. It's kind of funny how we even met, but started working with them as a design assistant and then transitioned to becoming their social media manager and brand strategist. It just happened very organically. I was like, hey, we're not showing up well on social media. Can I work on this? And can I work on maybe doing a rebrand, changing the logo a little bit, updating things so that they feel more modern? And so that was my very first lifestyle client in the marketing industry. So it's kind of funny how it's all come full circle.
Yeah, that's really cool. And even though we're talking about marketing today, I think that's such a good point. As you know, one of our passions is like team building and helping our designers to expand. And that's one of the beautiful things about working for a small company. I feel like is you have that opportunity to branch out so much more because there's not as many people to fill the gap. So it allows you to kind of explore and see what you're good at. I know that's what I did a lot of times with the smaller companies I worked for. Yeah. But then also I think I read so many audiobooks that I can't really tell you where I got this from. But in one of them, they were saying that I think it was Google, like allots 20% of like executives pay or like higher level employee pay or time to like side projects. And that's how some of their bigger platforms have been built, because they have time to like embark on these passion projects that are within the framework of the company, but not necessarily their normal role. And then they develop these really incredible things that end up moving the company forward. So really interesting.
Yeah.
Perfect. So with your current position, I know you said one of your greatest joys, you like watching and kind of seeing people evolve. Where do you think people experience the biggest challenge with working toward this goal of building up their brand?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it varies, depending on the industry that, my client is in. One thing that I would say is pretty consistent is the level of depth that we go to at Caprice & Company with our clients is extensive, and it is deeper than what most people have done when building their branding and marketing strategy. So we're looking at, your ideal client. We're starting with the basics. So we're looking at your ideal client. We're looking at their pains, their desires, their struggles, what they hope to achieve, where they're getting their information, what is their purchase decision like. We're really digging deep into the mind of our ideal client. And for a lot of the lifestyle brands that we work with, they have been so focused on their product or service that is phenomenal. They have already developed and mastered this so well that there can be a disconnect and a challenge for them in going backwards almost to identify the person that they are wanting to serve, with their product or with their service. So I think depth and really digging deep into the not the psyche, but the deep thoughts, desires, the human side of their client, I would say is a huge challenge for a lot of our clients. The other thing I would say too is with social media and with branding and content creation, all of these things are so prevalent in our world today that there are so many ideas that we constantly see, from like color palettes and different fonts, and it can be really hard to hone in and pick a style and really stick with that, because you kind of do, like you said, you were a DIY brand before. And so when you're doing DIY, you're pulling from these ideas and these really awesome concepts that you're seeing and you're loving. But because there isn't that foundational, who are we serving? What do we believe? What are our values? Because those things are lacking, the visual part is more, it sways more frequently, versus if it's rooted in something more, something more foundational, our values, what is our mission, who are we trying to serve, why are we trying to serve them, then the visual side, it stays consistent more easily. So I think that just the whole, digging deep into the brand, digging deep into the ideal client, digging deep into our values, our mission, why we do what we do, and how we're serving our ideal audience with our offers is, in a nutshell, it's kind of a lot.
Yeah. And even to build on that, like you said, we've been working together. And I think so many of us, when we first start a business, are thinking so much about the financial side. How am I going to make money from this? What am I going to do that people are going to pay for? And we're not thinking as much about who is paying for it and why. It's just like, okay, well, I'll adjust it because less people bought this. So we're going to do this because it seems more people want that service instead. Whereas going through this process with you and digging a little deeper into what our, ideal client is, and especially for us, since we have separate divisions, that ideal client looks a little different for each division, but it's really showcased the services that we can offer. And it's like, okay, well, this doesn't make sense for this reason because our client isn't looking for it. And so I know I've been able, it's just been so inspiring to go back and kind of, when you're thinking of them as an individual that you're trying to serve, it becomes much more like a conversation with your client than just this thing you're trying to sell. It's like, oh, wow, I can really take care of them in this way. Like if we do this, this is a need that I can fulfill for them. And that has been, I think, my favorite part of the process so far. Is I just feel like now I have all of these ideas, which is also why I do podcast fasts too. Like your point is, I feel like sometimes I'm listening to so many, which now I'm adding another one out into the world. But then there's so many ideas and you're never digging deep into any one of them. And so many people are shooting things out there for you to do. And then you just never feel like you're enough or that you're doing enough, or, like you're always mimicking someone else. Like my brand always before kind of had an inspiration starter.
Yeah. And one thing that I'll say too, thinking just about our work together and everything you're saying, one of the really cool things about this process is that not only are you getting clarity on who you're serving and, like you said, how you can serve them better through each avenue of your business and the different services you offer, but it's also, from what I've seen, and you can share a little bit about this too in your experience, what I noticed with a lot of our clients is that they're becoming more clear on how they are infused into the brand, and how the brand and the business really is an extension of their passions. I know a huge thing that we talk about a lot in our sessions is your passion for mompreneurs, your passion for supporting, women in business who maybe have felt limited or have felt like, how do I handle everything? How do I find this balance between wanting a family and being present for my family, and then also being present for my team and for my business? And from what I have seen, watching our clients, watching you, watching other clients of ours go through that process and realize wow, this is what I believe about the world or about my industry. And here's how I am infusing those beliefs and that personal mission that I have to see change into my business and into my brand. Part of, growing a business is diversifying, like you said, diversifying those services and being able to help people with different challenges they're having. So even with MDA, there's the podcast, there's consulting, there's the agency, there's different ways to, support your clients. And each of those, your why for each of those as the CEO of the company stems from something that you believe about your ideal client. So you believe that there's a way for them to be more efficient. You believe that that they can grow their business to where they want it to be through consulting. You believe that people deserve a community where they feel supported and they feel like they're understood, which is why Layered exists, So that's something I really love to watch, with our clients, is this connection between, okay, like you said, this is how I'm going to make money, but then, okay, why is it that this is the path that I've chosen to, create revenue and to generate, financial means for my family and my portion of support. But getting to see yourself infused into that and then learning how to tell that story to your audience through content creation, through your website, through social media, it's powerful. And it really does change the game and helps people that are interacting with your brand communicate with you, and engage with you in a more authentic way, because they're seeing, oh, wow, this is her why. This is why these services exist. This is what she believes. I resonate with that. And when you don't have that clarity in the beginning, when you're just launching your business because, you have a good idea for services, it works out, but it just becomes that much more powerful when you can share the other half of the story, the like soul, of the story, the soul of the brand, the heart of the brand. That's something I think about quite a bit too. And, in our client transformations.
Yeah, it's really incredible. I mean, not to be corny, I know not everybody is behind this word, but it really is so empowering when you get to that stage and suddenly you have all of these ideas and people are really responding to it. And I know we've talked about a lot of the changes that I've made and MDA's made over the last year. And even my husband, someone who's kind of on the receiving end of all of my stress, because he's the one here at home, is seeing the difference. And now he's at a stage where he's like, I want to be part of this. Like, this seems really great. And so just to continue to evolving, a lot of this podcast is about those changes that I made, but then to build onto it, just the work that we've done with you, it just, again, is so empowering to be able to see how you can have an impact on people and the people that you really want to impact. Right. As you said, like, my big thing is mompreneurs, because I've been in that space. I'm still in that space. Obviously, I'm working with a 3-year-old beside me. I had to go slice her apples during this podcast. Which is why if you're watching the video, you see me wandering around my house. It's those adjustments. And I know that was my fear even entering this professional space, was no one's going to take me seriously. If I have a kid in the background, no one's going to want to be part of that. That's instantly going to discredit me. And I had all of these limiting beliefs. And then really, like, I found moms kind of connected with that. They're like, oh, it's fine. They could tune it out. They didn't even hear my kids in the background because they have their own kids in the background. And we were collaborating together and it worked really well. So a lot of my clients are moms. So being able to identify that, like you said, and just kind of grow with it, it's a great feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to know a little bit about you from like your brand standpoint. So we're talking about building a brand, and you provided your core values to us. And if you don't mind sharing those with the listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are actually the core values of my life that are also the core values for the brand. They just kind of go together because my brand is an extension of me. So really my core values are freedom, health, authenticity, connection, and excellence. It took me, quite a bit of intentional time to identify and really think through the things that were important to me. And so as I've built the Caprice & Company brand, I've really tried to infuse, and I mean, this is a continuous process, constantly reevaluating and making sure that the things that I value the most in life and the things that kind of fuel my work are showing up consistently in my brand story.
And so with those particular core values, how do you put those out there into your social media? How is that shaping like your branding photos? And I know that's a whole lot to recap like in this tiny little space, but just to kind of touch on it, I think that's where people get stuck, is they can kind of identify, okay, these are the things that are important to me, but then it's connecting with, you know, how do I put that in a photo? Do I use a quote? How do we share that with the world in a way that people connect to it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that this is something that, I mean, so many lifestyle brands are constantly trying to evaluate and figure out. For me, what I've learned and kind of how we do it at Caprice & Company is intentionality and doing things slowly versus just executing. You know, a lot of times people say, oh, just, you know, rip the Band-Aid or just, you know, get things done. And there's a time and place for that. Absolutely. Where sometimes you just have to get it done. You just have to start, because if you don't, you're going to lose the momentum or you're going to freeze or whatever. But when it comes to showing up on social media and in your marketing, you know, in a way that represents your values, you have to first know what your values are. And you have to first take the time to think through what you really believe about yourself, about people, about life. So for me, you know, all of last year in 2021, actually kind of started in 2020, but in 2021, it continued. I spent a lot of time, you know, with different journals and resources, thinking and meditating and reflecting and considering what are the things that are actually important to me. And those were the 5 that I landed on: freedom, health, connection, authenticity, excellence. The way that I show up on, you know, through our branding in these ways, there's a couple things. So first of all, you know this, we just had a huge, you know, brand shoot for Caprice & Company just last month in February. And it was a lot because I really wanted to make sure that every single person that helped with the brand shoot, each of our models who were actually all friends and people that I know from the industry, the outfits, the colors, that every single thing reflected my values. One huge thing is simplicity. So I tried to keep things very simple, tried to keep things, you know, very straightforward and doing things in a way that felt very authentic. And so the things that I show up, you know, clothes that I wore in the photo shoot and the people that I have in the photo shoot are not hired models or people that I am paying to be there. I did buy the team lunch afterwards as a thank you, but these are just people that I, you know, am showing up for in my life every day and are showing up for me as well. And so showing that authentic connection, showing that, you know, these are the people that are in my circle. We truly are connected. When you see us laughing in the photos, it's not pretend. Like we were actually cracking up at something hilarious going on in the background. There's just different ways to infuse that. A lot of it, when you think about, you know, speaking your values into your content and you think about copywriting, that's something that you and I have chatted a little bit about. There, you have to identify what your voice is. So for me, connection and authenticity are huge in the way that we are communicating with our audience. And so one of those things is the way that we sound. You'll notice as you read from our website to our captions to our, you know, different text and copy we're actually writing, there's an essence of professionality mixed with, hey, we get it. We see you. We know the struggle and we want to support you. It's a craft, you know, it takes time. And I think going back and looking at, for us, the same process that you and I have gone through for your business, I've gone through for my own. And I constantly go back over and, hey, who is my ideal client? What are our values? What is my messaging? How do I want to say this so that people can see what we believe and feel connected to that, so they can feel confident that the work and the results of their work with us is going to, really reflect them.
Yeah. And to your point, I don't think when I've looked, I mean, your website is still under production at this time. I saw that it was launching next week. So by the
Yes.
time this podcast is released, it should be available. But your branding is super consistent. Like as far as how you show up in calls, even like there's no surprise where obviously that's a concern of mine that we've talked about is I came from a banking background and that was like my first real job was in banking. And I was in that for several years. And it's super hard for me to break like the professional banking, like robot exterior because I need to be I have this vision of what I need to be, but then it doesn't really relate to me personally. I'm very casual. So that has been a really hard thing for me to break through. So I know we're nearing about the half hour, but I have another big question for you. And that is the brand shoot, again, I know is way too big to get into in this call, but I know other people are probably having the same struggles that I do. So, that was like a huge source of anxiety for me. Like I'm still thinking about it, even though we haven't had our shoot planning thing, like it still pops into my brain. But as far as the shoot, like I know you're mentioning like models and a crew, and for someone who's having their first shoot, or if they're just trying to get some branding photos, do you have any suggestions for them?
Yeah. That's a great question. And we will talk about this, for your shoot. So don't stress too much. But the first thing I would say is really keep it simple. Like, don't try to overcomplicate it. At the point where I'm at in my business, adding the models and having a new location and, 2 hours, all of that was just our natural next step. But that's not necessary. If you're just starting out with your branding or having a brand shoot, keep it simple. Don't try to overcomplicate things. Pick 2 or 3 outfits that you feel really align and feel authentic to you and to the brand that you have put out for, your audience. If you tend to wear, rose pink and white or creams and neutrals or whatever, don't feel that you have to kind of go and create this image or this Pinterest look that isn't you. It's really important, I think, and this goes back to the whole authenticity thing, that when you're designing and creating and planning for your brand shoot, you keep it really simple and you show up really authentically. And so look at stuff you already have. Look at pieces that are maybe a more professional or elevated version of what you wear. In our most recent shoot, there was kind of a streetwear look that we did. So I'm in like a, biker shorts and an athletic tank or something with a blazer, which really aligns with our brand. But it's okay to not have everything perfectly exactly how you want it, as long as you're showing up authentically and you're really keeping it simple. Okay, I'm going to do these 2 outfits. I tend to work a lot in a coffee shop, so I'll pick a coffee shop as my location. Or I tend to spend a lot of time in, white, bright areas. So let me find a location to shoot that really aligns with that. We also do offer, and one huge thing I will say is get help if you need help, if it's overwhelming. At Caprice & Company, we offer brand shoot support. If you're like, hey, I just need someone to help me plan this thing, we offer that. There's plenty of people that offer that. And so sometimes checking in with a consultant or someone who can help you design and take that stress off can also, relieve a lot of anxiety. But if you're not there or that feels even more overwhelming, just keep it simple and show up really authentically so that your audience doesn't look at your photos and think, oh my gosh, who is that person? I don't recognize that. This is not who I've seen, before. So that would be a quick little tidbit.
Great. Yeah, I know. And to your point, when we were talking about our photos, it's like, oh, I think I'm going to go to this place and like, I'll just be outside because that's, I don't know, for some reason that just seems like I feel more comfortable in that area. And you're like, but you work from home.
Right.
Good point. Okay. So maybe I guess some of them should be from home, but it just felt like, again, sometimes we have to fight this battle of like what we feel we should be doing versus what actually makes sense for us to do. And I know I'm not alone. So.
Yeah, absolutely not. That's a struggle for so many people. And that's why, I mean, I really try to, drill this in for myself and for all of us. Just be authentic. Just show up authentically, the best version of yourself. You don't have to show up in, your work from home sweats, but it also doesn't have to be this idealized, you don't want to present this idealized image that you can't keep up with. Part of why it's so easy, you even mentioned how I show up in meetings and on Zoom. It's easy because my brand truly is just an embodiment of who I am and my life and my values. It's not like I'm had to run to the store to find something that matched my Pinterest board before a call. It's just it's just an extension of me. So just stay authentic. That's always my tip.
Yeah, I've been trying not to focus. I've been thinking about the outfits. And so, as you know, sustainability is kind of our thing, both business wise and just environmental. And so some of the stuff that I chose that hasn't arrived yet was just things from like Poshmark. And I was like, I really don't want to go buy a bunch of brand new stuff for this. And I plan on incorporating clothes that I already have, but again, it's very casual. Like I've got rainbow sweats and hoodies like that. That probably won't be the best for a brand shoot. So I figured I'll class it up a little bit. I have some overalls I ordered too. We'll see if they make it in the brand shoot.
Love.
I'm like, I wanted these for so long. My husband's judging me. We'll see if they make it. They make the cut.
Hey, brand shoots are a great excuse to like freshen up your wardrobe. That's been the case for me for especially my first one. I was like, well, I've been needing a new brown sweater, so might as well get one now.
Right? Exactly. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to tell our listeners just more about the services that you offer and things that they can reach out to you for?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find us on Instagram. Our handle is at Caprice and Company _. And you can also find us on our website, capriceandcompany.co. And at Caprice and Company, I know we talked about this before, but we offer social media management services for lifestyle brands, as well as consulting, one-on-one consulting and lifestyle branding. So if you're looking for support with brand messaging, brand development, brand visuals, logos, website, someone to manage your social media for you, we do all of that. And we'd love to chat and support you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. Talk to you soon.
Bye. I hope you enjoyed listening to our latest episode as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. If you want to learn more about our VA and consulting services or courses, you can check us out at mydesignassistant.com. Did you enjoy what you heard? We'd love to hear your feedback. Please leave a review with your chosen listening platform, and please don't forget to make suggestions for future content you would like to hear. Until next time, I'm Brittany, and you've been listening to Layered.